Buenas tardes, estudiantes. Hoy es lunes, hoy es el 23 de Noviembre. I had to check on that because, as I told you in class, el viernes, I was going to record this right after we had our last class, so that's what I am doing. So for me, es viernes, but for you guys, es lunes. So if you found this video, that means that you are doing Clase 37 and keeping on pace with where we need to be as we continue to finish this semester. So stay with me, keep working. We're going to finish up Lección 11 today. There's a review of some commands we're going to do, a little por para work, and then also there's one more thing that is included in Lección 11 that I need to explain to you, so I will do that towards the end of this video. I may ask you at times to keep your finger on the pause button because I'm going to ask you to pause and do the work, and then listen to what I say to see if your answer reflects what you hear from me. So hang on just a second, I'll pause, I'll come right back. So as you see on the screen here, I am asking you to one more practice with our mandatos, our commands, both affirmative and negative. As you know, they're formed differently, so that's why we need to practice those, just because they sound a little bit different. So go ahead and pause it and try to make while you try to form the negative command that you see at the top, and then I'm just going to go all the way down. So go ahead and pause, try to form it, play it again, I will say it, you can see if your answer matched mine. Okay, so I'll leave a little pause in between. Pause it right now. No uses la calculadora en la clase de álgebra. Next one. Apaga tu teléfono durante la clase. Apaga, apaga. Next one. It's irregular. Dime tu dirección electrónica. Dime, dime, dime. Next one, negative. No borres los archivos, por favor. No borres. Okay, la próxima. Bésame 2 veces. Bésame. Próximo. No me beses. Okay, both of those commands might come in handy someday, right? So, bésame versus no me beses. No me beses. Next one. Prende la impresora e imprime tu tarea. Prende, imprime, both affirmative commands. Next is negative. No descargues la música. No descargues. And when you hear it, maybe you're seeing also the GU that would have to be in there if you were to write that command out. No descargues, G-U-E-S. Next one. Mándale un mensaje de texto a tu profesor. Mándale, mándale. Next one. Llama al mecánico. El carro está descompuesto. Next one's negative. No toques el teclado. No toques, again, if you were to write this out, the QU would replace the C. No toques el teclado. Don't touch the keyboard. No toques. Last one's affirmative. Ayúdanos con nuestra tarea de español. Ayúdanos, ayúdanos. Ok, bien. Hoy vamos a seguir, vamos a practicar más el por y el para, porque son muy difíciles para mis estudiantes. Para todos los estudiantes de español son más o menos difíciles. Okay, vamos a practicar. Again, pause. I'm going to put this one up. You go ahead and read it. Fill in what you think needs to be in there with a rationale, and then you can play it again, and I will come on and see how close you were. Voy a viajar a España por avión. Por avión has to do with means of communication. Por. Next one. Este regalo es para ti. Here's a gift. Here, if you saw my gesture that I'm doing, I'm giving it to somebody. Para ti. Es para ti. La próxima. Necesito trabajar para ganar dinero. In order, para ganar dinero. Próximo. Ángela pagó $100 por su cámara digital. Por su cámara. In exchange for. Next one. Okay, probably important to know the pasear. Pasear means to like, pasear, take a stroll, take a walk. That probably makes a difference on the choice between por para here. El sábado paseamos por el parque. There's movement, there's motion. We passed through, we took a walk around the park. Por el parque con ellos. Próximo. Haven't talked about this one as much, but the comparison that we're making here for a kid, for a little boy, Mateo es muy alto. The comparison one requires para. Para un niño, Mateo es muy alto. Próximo. It's a duration of time happening. Navegué la red por una hora. For that amount of time, for that quantity of time. Por una hora. Próximo. Este control remoto es para ese televisor. I can substitute the words it's used for. Yeah, that's the reason why it's a para for that one. Here's another one. Silvia trabaja para una compañía de internet. They're employing her. She works for them. She is an employee of that. So, para. It's kind of like she's giving her work to them as a gift. Kind of like in the one about este regalo es para ti. It's that same concept. Felipe está muy nervioso por el examen, because of, on account of. It's his motive, reason, por el examen. I like to think about those words because of, and when that because of is my reason, is the idea behind that, it's going to be por. Okay, a few more. Tengo que devolver, I have to return, este libro a la biblioteca para viernes. It's the due date, the end point, the goal, the time at which that is due, that needs to be back in la biblioteca. Para viernes. Este autobús sale para Chicago mañana. That's my goal, my destination, my end point. If you were to see me, I'm doing that little hand gesture again. That's where I have to get to. I have to get to Chicago. Cuando trabajaba en el restaurante, ganaba $7 por hora. $7 in exchange for $1 or 1 hour. So $7 por hora. Also, the idea of per hour, por hora. Okay, I'm just including here again, I think I must not have gotten to them last time I taught this, those 4 por phrases, por aquí, por ejemplo, por eso, por fin. We talked about those in the last class. They're at the bottom right of your vocab there. Also, por último, same thing as por fin. We learned that way back in Lección 7. We also learned those phrases por la mañana, por la tarde, por la noche, that duration of time thing. Also with por, and then I had you write down gracias por, when you're giving somebody thanks in exchange for something that they have done for you or something that they've said to you or whatever. So lots of reasons to use por and para, and not just flipping a coin, depending on which one you think maybe you should use today. Notice that I have 2 statements up here, caminé por el parque, caminé para el parque. One of those is not incorrect and one of those correct. They're both completely fine, legit statements. They mean something just a little bit different, however. Por, as you remember, has that motion going along with it. Para has that destination going along with it. So, caminé por el parque, I walked through the park. Okay, again, if you see my hand gesture, I'm making that motion movement. And then caminé para el parque, that's where I had to get to. I walked toward the park. I walked in the direction of the park. A little different than walking through it. So the por, para, both of those are completely fine. They just send a different message depending on how you use them. This one, interestingly, I would say it the same way in both English and in English. I would say both of those in the same way. He worked or she worked for her father or for his father. However, the por and the para make it a different scenario here. Trabajó por su padre. There's that idea of in exchange for. For some reason, his dad couldn't work, so he worked in his place instead of him, in place of him. That's not true in the next sentence. Trabajó para su padre. Para su padre. His dad is his boss, right? So he is his employee. So trabajó para su padre. Both of those completely fine. They just, again, like I said, send a different meaning. Okay. Para la tarea escrita, you guys uploaded it to Blackboard, so if you have it in front of you, I'm just going to put it here. If not, it's on you to just make sure that you have checked your accuracy with what you see here. I have a lot of por para phrases in this one and a lot of vocab that we've been working with. So para grabar, for example, grabar is one of our vocab words. El control remoto, also using that para in there. I'm just going to go ahead and put these up. Sorry, número 5. Yeah. Notice the número 3, I used nos encontramos or nos conocimos en el parque anoche. They're both an each other kind of idea. We met each other in the park last night. Nos encontramos, we just happened to run across one another. Nos conocimos, we were introduced to one another in the park last night. Because conocimos in the past, in the preterite tense, right, has that different meaning we met each other for the first time. Not sure which one it means. So both of those are fine. It depends on how you interpreted that English statement. And then I'll let you take a look at por in the next two statements for their own reasons. Exchange for, and then because of. Por el tráfico. Next one, there's another, we did this to each other deal. Ellos se saludaron. And then there's a motion towards, in the direction of the suburbs. Arregla el monitor, lo necesito para mañana. Para, it's the deadline, goal, endpoint. Here's an each other again. Nos ayudamos con nuestra tarea. Negative command, no borres los archivos, ponlos. Okay, I'm realizing that I forgot to make this change yet again. Every semester I'm like, I gotta change that. They had the word CD-ROM. It's such an old vocab word, such an old technology-related word, but basically the CD. So if you had ponlos en un disco compacto or en un CD, that's totally fine. Anyway, sorry about that. Every semester I say I'm going to change that, and every semester I forget. But anyway, the commands are good to practice. No borres, and then ponlos. No borres los archivos, ponlos en un CD-ROM. And then one more command, along with the use of por in there. Bésame por $3. Which I'm not encouraging here, because that is like, no, don't do that. Don't do that for anybody, right? So, no me beses, por $3, right? No me beses. Okay, at this point, I would have had our prueba de comprensión, the lógico y lógico, covering those concepts that have so far come out of Lección 11. And this, I hate it that I can't be in class today. We can't be together physically because this is my favorite day. Because while you're taking this prueba, I would have, and you would have seen it at the beginning of class, I would have brought in some very important things of mine. Libros de español that I use for one of my grad classes. Mis llaves, para abrir la puerta y abrir mi oficina y mi carro. Dinero, I had a $20 bill that I would put in the front of the room that everybody would see during the whole class period, and also a fotografía importante de mis hijas. During the time that you were taking the prueba or that you were consulting one another on your tarea escrita, I would walk through, I would have planted these items on some of y'all without your knowing, preferably. I would have stuck them in your mochilas or debajo de sus escritorios or something like that. And then I would have made a really big deal of like, ay, ¿dónde están mis cosas? Hay cosas muy importantes aquí. Ay, esta fotografía es mi favorita de mis hijas. Mis llaves, yo necesito mis llaves. Yo no puedo entrar en mi oficina. Yo no puedo abrir mi casa si no tengo mis llaves. ¿Dónde están mis llaves? ¿Dónde están los libros y mi dinero? $20. $20 es mucho dinero para mí. No es mucho para ustedes, pero $20 es mucho para mí. I would have made a huge deal about that. And I would say, Madre mía, ¿quién me robó las cosas? Who took my stuff? Who robbed my things from me? Then I would start accusing some of y'all. And I would say to you, hey, Delaney, ¿tú tienes mis libros? And you'd be like, no tengo tus libros. And I would say, Trent, ¿tienes mis libros? No tengo tus libros. And I would say, Lucas, ¿tú tienes mis libros? No. He'd again say no. And then I would tell everybody, busca en sus mochilas, por favor. Everybody then would look in their backpacks. And then somebody would actually pull it out. So let's say that was Elizabeth. Elizabeth finds that. In fact, I have planted my libros on her. And I would say, in a very disappointed tone, ay, Elizabeth, ¿por qué me robaste los libros? Elizabeth, los libros no son tuyos, son míos. Okay, presten atención. I'm going to repeat that again. Los libros no son tuyos, Elizabeth, son los míos. And she'd be like, yeah, I know. And then I'd say, dámelos. She'd give them back to me. And I would look at her with a very disgusted and very disappointed look on my face that I can't believe that she would do that, right? And then I would ask, ¿Quién tiene mis llaves? Yo necesito mis llaves. ¿Tú tienes mis llaves, Brady? Brady says, no tengo tus llaves. Megan, ¿me robaste las llaves? She says, no. And then finally somebody again looks in their backpack and they pull them out. And I say, Nick, Nicolás. No son las llaves tuyas, Nick. Son las llaves mías. No son las llaves tuyas, son las llaves mías. Same thing for la fotografía. No es la fotografía tuya, Josh. Es la fotografía mía. Es muy importante. Dámela, por favor. Yeah, and I would make a really, really big scene about that. And by now, most people would realize that it's an act. There have been semesters where people didn't know still that I was putting this all on, that I have planted these things. And then finally, I would ask, ¿Dónde está mi dinero? $20 es mucho dinero para mí. Jada, ¿tienes mi dinero? He'd say, no tengo tu dinero. And finally, somebody again pulls it out of their backpack. It's Austin. Austin. No es el dinero tuyo, es el dinero mío. No es el tuyo, es el mío. Oy, okay. I might point to other people along the way and say to Austin, I'd point to, let's say, Casey, and I'd say, ¿Es el dinero suyo? No. I'd point to Carly, ¿Es el dinero suyo? No, porque es el dinero mío, Austin. No es el tuyo, no es el suyo, es el mío. Okay, so by now, hopefully, and that would really have been much more successful and effective had I been able to do that all in person and not through this video narrated PowerPoint. But I think you get the picture. If you look at the back side of your vocab, you will see all those words that I just used. Mío, tuyo, suyo. I didn't use nuestro there, but it also refers to something that is a possessive thing. Now, we know some of those words already. Way back when, you learned the phrase mi, right? Mi, tú, es mi libro, son tus llaves, es nuestro dinero. We've learned all those already. But what these are called these mío, tuyo, suyo words. They're called, they're stressed, they're emphasized. Emphasized possessive adjectives. So, if I want to stress that something is mine, it's not yours, it's not his, it's not hers, it is mine. Okay, and that's what I was trying to do with those objects. It's not yours, it's mine, right? Emphasize that. I'm going to use these words, and they look a lot like mi, tú, and su, right? So here's an example. ¿Es Juan tu amigo? Is Juan your friend? Is he? Sí. Es un amigo mío. Okay, let's back up. Look at that previous slide again. Madre mia. You heard the phrase mamma mia, right? There it is. It's actually in Italian when you hear somebody say that. But mamma mia, madre mia, mother of mine, right? In that same sentence here, is Juan your friend? Yeah, he is a friend of mine. Notice on your vocab sheet it says that the mio can mean of mine or my, okay? So, es un amigo mío. Notice, I didn't say es mi amigo. I could have said that. But what this does is it emphasizes, yeah, he's a good friend of mine. He's mine. Maybe he's not yours. Maybe he's not his. Maybe he's not theirs. But he is my friend. Es un amigo mío. Now, I used mío because it's Juan. Es un amigo. If that had said es Juanita, tu amiga, of course, you know what has to happen. It has to agree. So, sí, es una amiga mía. Mía. Otro ejemplo. Aquí está mi cámara. I hold it up to you, right? Aquí está mi cámara. Pero, ¿dónde está la tuya? There's lots of times in Spanish or in English too, actually, where I don't use the word cámara, right? Where is yours? ¿Dónde está la tuya? Notice that I also have to have that little article in there. ¿Dónde está la tuya? Where is the yours? Okay? Clearly, we don't say that in English, but that sometimes is a part of that phrase in Español. ¿Dónde está la tuya? Oh, la mía está en el coche. Now, la mía, I'm using the feminine form here, not because I'm female, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the fact that I'm referring to mi cámara, which is a feminine thing. So, la mía está en mi coche. ¿De quién es esa computadora? Whose computer is that? Of whom is that? My response, now, I'd have to be in class to demonstrate this because you'd have to see me point to somebody. I would point to, for example, Matt, and I would say, es la computadora suya. It is his computer. It is his computer, okay? Es la computadora de él. Es la computadora suya. Now, if I had pointed to Lydia, es la computadora suya. Now, it's the computer of hers, right? Not of his, it's of hers. Suya, that su, as we've learned, su can mean lots of different things. His, her, your, formal. Same thing is true for this word suyo and suya. Again, it's suya feminine because it's a computadora. ¿Tienes la impresora de Javier? Do you have Javier's printer, right? ¿Tienes la impresora de Javier? No, pero tengo la nuestra. La nuestra. Notice I didn't have to say the word impresora. All I'm referring to is, no, I don't, but I have ours. La nuestra. Again, la nuestra is because impresora is also feminine and singular. Yo tengo la nuestra, la nuestra. So, even though these words don't look really new to you, they look a little like those words mi, tu, su, nuestro, and nuestra are exactly the same. They're used in a little bit of a different way to indicate that the stressed possession that we're talking about. Yeah, and just really emphasizing the fact that it's not yours. It's not yours. It's mine. Austin, es el dinero mío. No es el dinero tuyo. Es el mío. It's mine. Es el mío. So, it's really making a big deal about who it belongs to. We'll finish with this And notice this super cheesy little statement here about their relationship. Mi pasado es mío, he says to her. My past is mine. Mi presente es tuyo. El futuro es nuestro. Oh. So on that really sappy note, that's the end of this class. I'm going to put some things for you guys to practice this concept on Panorama, so you can do the thing that you do. There won't be a lot as you look forward to spending some time away during the Thanksgiving vacation. So, but just to keep your fingers on it a little bit, I will assign just a few things between now and the next class. Eso es todo. Nos vemos el lunes, el 30 de noviembre. Hasta luego, que tengan buenas vacaciones.